So I always look at that as the foundation.
So the big question is, what are top agents doing to absolutely crush it in real estate, grow their teams and add more transactions year over year while so many struggle? To get the answers, we interview the top real estate agents to learn their secrets to success. My name is Andrew Dunn.
And my name is Peter Michael. Welcome to Lead Agent Secrets.
So all of this comes from experience, which is your third and final topic. And when I think about experience, before I let you dive in, I always think of this quote where it's youth and exuberance is no match for old age and treachery. And that always reminds me of experience. So I know there's no shortcut, but there is some fast tracks, let's call it. I think teams are one of them, for example. I think with a good team, you can gain a lot of experience quickly. But unpack why your third and final secret to success is experience.
Yeah, and I think when you're talking about experience, it's not just I've been in real estate 17 years. If you came from a sales background, you can use that even if it's not just real estate sales. If you came from a lending background, you can talk about that and how it benefits the client. With people on my team, if they're relatively new agents, they don't have the 17 or 30 years of experience, but you can also leverage your team's experience and say, hey, my team sells over 150 homes a year. We've sold over 4,000 homes since we've been in business. We have the knowledge, we have the experience as a team, and we have the tools to benefit you, client. Here's why. So I think depending on what avenue you're coming from, it can be, it's how you present it to your client. Perception is everything. And I think, with the experience, again, getting that mentor in the beginning. And a lot of people just, they join a broker and they get assigned a mentor. And there's nothing wrong with that. But a lot of times, if you really want to know the business, you might want to go to that top producer, and say, hey, if I buy you lunch, can I pick your brain for a little bit? My Uncle Brian, he's, like I said, I owe everything to him. And he's always had an open door policy, and he's got a great reputation in the business. And other agents, office, not office, they've asked him for advice over the years. So whether you're a new agent or an agent who's been in it 5 or 6 years, try talking to a top producer. Don't assume that you know everything. And you'll start to build that network of people, attending the events, making friends with lenders. And they're going to be, some of the ones that help you build, your business down the road. So I think experience is really going to be starting at the mentorship, and not assuming you know everything. Because once you feel that, once you think you know everything and you're not learning, well, you just missed it because the market just turned, while you weren't paying attention, and I think, when we look at the three topics, I like to look at it kind of as a house. Some people look at it as a tree with branches, and roots and whatnot. If you look at the house, you got the foundation, which is, whether you're starting out or you're trying to build on it, you want the mentors, you want to ask the right questions. You want to be with the right broker. And like you touched on earlier, it's not always about commission splits. It's about, does that broker have tools to help you succeed? Commission splits don't mean anything if you're not selling any homes, if you don't have any business, if they don't give you any support. So I always look at that as the foundation. What's my, who's my mentor? Then if you think of the walls as like, your lead sources, your network of agents that you've made friends with, because, just as important it is to have a client approved, a lot of listing agents, they know agents that are experienced in the business, that they had good relationships with, or good teams that have a good reputation, which is equally important. So when you're looking at the walls, you're looking at your lead sources, whether it's your sphere of influence, open houses, past clients, your buying leads, do you have a quality CRM, to reach out to people, and even though I've been in business 17 years, with me taking over the team, I looked at bringing a new CRM. I reached out to one of my lenders. He put me in touch with a top producing agent that works in Colorado and Florida with a completely different broker who took an hour out of his time to tell me exactly how how it worked for him, and that was invaluable. And then, you got the roof as being the trusted advisor to your clients because you have that fiduciary responsibility. Without the right foundation, anything you build on top of it's going to be crap, and if you don't have a good roof as being a trusted advisor to your clients, everything's then going to rot because you're going to get leaks, and things are just going to fall apart. I think, just like, you want to live where you love, which is always my slogan. That's on my website, live where you love. You really have to love real estate and work hard at it to succeed, and any time, it's, the experience that you're going to gain over time period is one thing. But like you said earlier, being on a team, you can help jumpstart that, and that's kind of how I look at everything.
I think there's certain types of experience that you can fast track and there's others that you can't. I think you touched on both, actually, is you can fast track like real estate selling knowledge, aka like how do you sell homes? How do you do presentations? How do you write contracts? How do you do this? You can really fast track that. Teams one way, coaching program like a great one is another way. You can kind of fast track that process to really just accelerate like the do's and don'ts, like the actual moving gears on a day-to-day basis of selling real estate. The things that you can't fast track is the other one that you spoke about, which is networking and like relationships with like lenders, title companies who do send you business. It's with those clients, like you touched on, you said something about your uncle selling a home and then you sold to the daughter. This reminds me, my dad is actually, or was for a long time, a teacher, 40 years. And he taught the parents, their children, and then some of their grandchildren in that 40 years. And it's like, it's the most crazy thing to think back. Like I taught all three generations because he was at the same school for his entire career. And real estate reminds me of that every day. The amount of times I'm like, oh yeah, we sold to their grandparents or their parents and their children have just had kids and they're now looking for a home. And I'm like, it's an amazing thing where you do a great job and you can literally get paid for generations, like with actuality, Yeah. But you can't fast track having great networking relationships with like a lender or a loan off, a title company, other realtors, those clients who you sold a home for. Like we always say, minimum, if you're serious about real estate, it's a decade. Look at it in decades. Like, hey, in the next decade, I want to achieve this, because you will get minimum one, more likely two sales cycles from every person you sold on day one. If that makes sense. It's like sell, buy, sell in about 5 years. And then you might get another within a decade. You get all the referrals from that. And that's when real estate compounds. Within a decade, the compound effect of selling homes is ridiculous, like truly ridiculous,
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, that's the thing, when you help someone buy a home as a first-time home buyer, they might not buy or sell that home 2 years later. But, once you stay in the business and you get that experience, statistically, they're probably going to move in 6 or 7 years.
Yeah.
And then you get that. And, one of my clients, she, I've got a large family in this area, and she recognized my uncle's last name on one of my listings. This is going back like 6-7 years ago. And she reached out to me because I was one handling the listing on that one. And, I built the relationship because my family had a relationship with them 30 years ago. And, she referred her one daughter to me that sold and then bought a home. And then I just helped her other daughter last month sell and buy a home, and one of the things too I like to do with my clients, if they have a business, I always try and utilize them for something, whether they're a contractor or inspector or real estate, an attorney. This particular client, he, I work with a lot of veteran clients, and he actually has a side business where he makes, the flags with logos on it and everything out of wood. Really good looking. And I commissioned him to do one for my team, and it's going to hang in our office when he gets it built, and that's something I always like to do too, is involve, my clients' businesses as much as I can, because they're supporting me.
I love that. That's such a nice touch. And I think that will just yield, even if it didn't yield, but I just think it will, just because you're going at it with like, I just want to support my network and support these people. Now, before we wrap up, I want to give you the floor. So you've talked about your team, you're crushing it out there. So whether people are looking to buy or sell a home, if you're growing your team, you've got something else going on where you're at, tell the people how they can get in touch, where they can find you, whether it's phone, email, website, social media. Let the people know where you're at.
Yeah, no, if someone wants to get a hold of me, first off, I'd appreciate it, whether it's, you're in the area, and you're considering, joining a team. We're always looking for talented individuals. Or if you just have questions, or if you're a home buyer or seller, I'm always here. Easiest ways to get me, my cell phone, 856-981-1743. You can email me, Timothy Belko, that's B as in boy, ELKO, @foxroach.com. Or you can go to my website, which, I had one of my past clients build for me. It's timbelkorealestate.com. Those are the quickest and the easiest ways to reach me.
I love it. Now, before we go, I've got 3 quick fire questions for you, straight off the top of your head. I know you listen to the show, so you will hopefully be expecting this, or hopefully not. So, first question, what's your favorite book or person you've learned from recently?
Favorite book or person? I forget who it was by, but I read a book about giftology. It was all about the science of gifting. And I really started to change the ways I gave gifts after that, because, before, you give people a business, a gift card, they use it, they forget about it. But, with the science of gifting, it's okay, well, we'll give them something that they're going to use and reuse, or someone's going to be in their house and look at it. And then they say, oh, my real estate agent got me that. And all of a sudden you become a topic of conversation. Some people give personalized knives. If I'm selling a home to a family, I like to get a personalized picture frames that says, the so-and-so family, and then something I'll build on, I'll get them something additional depending on what their interests are. My one client, he really likes cigars. So today I'm going to go get him a box of cigars, from my other client that owns a cigar shop.
Love that. That's so great.
So that was an interesting book.
Love it, giftology. It's basically talking about the laws of reciprocity, I guess.
Exactly.
Yeah, I love it. Second question, what's your goal in the next 12 months?
So what's my goal in real estate, or what's my goal in life?
You choose. Intuitively, what's your goal in the next 12 months?
Yeah. People always, whenever someone says, what's your goal? I said, my goal's simple. I just want to be happy.
Okay.
And I think the rest of that will flow from there. If we're looking at transactions, I'd love to, do 50 million in transactions this year. But my main goal for the business is really to support the agents on my team, make sure that we're improving the processes for them, talking with not only with them, but also our admin to see what we can do to improve, and then making sure that obviously, our clients are not only being followed up with, but having a good experience as well. So that's a couple answers. I told you I get long-winded.
Third and final one, what's the biggest obstacle you think is going to stop you achieving that goal?
I think the biggest obstacle as far as, market-wise, you've heard about it. Everyone knows, interest rates have gone up. I'm curious, with the slowdown, how much that is necessarily going to be. But I mean, that's something that we can't do anything but adjust to, and again, I told you in the beginning, I always say it, I tell the agents on my team, what we do now is going to determine how successful we are when the market turns. And I think that's what we're starting to see is going to be that market slowdown. I don't think we'll see a crash like 2008 for a variety of reasons.
Yeah.
But I think the market slowdown is going to be the dependent factor on exactly how successful everyone is. Hopefully that's a simple enough answer.
I love it. That's perfect. Tim, thank you for coming on the show, sharing your secrets to success and sharing your story with our audience. Everyone, we hope you have enjoyed this episode, and we will see you in the next one. Oh, and by the way, would you consider yourself a maverick? Are you an agent, team leader, broker owner who is constantly striving to push boundaries and smash goals? Well, we've already helped over 100 agents go over $100,000 per year in GCI. So if you're interested in learning more about our courses and coaching to help you scale your business, then head over to go.eliteagentsecrets.com.